Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Fluffy the Yellow Fox, and in today's video I'll be recapping each arc in the East Blue Saga of the One Piece anime, starting off with Romance Dawn. Romance Dawn starts off with, easy. A band of pirates led by Alvida plundered a ship, only to find a barrel which contains a strange boy named Luffy. Luffy is on a quest to find the legendary treasure One Piece, and he befriends the ship's cabin boy, Kobe, who actually wants to become a marine officer. Luffy defeats Alveda, and the two journey on in search of crewmates. Luffy and Kobe arrive at Shell Island, a marine base. As they meet bounty hunter Roanoa Zoro, held under arrest by the infamous marine Captain Morgan and his son El Meppo. Luffy convinces Zoro to join his crew, but they must first defeat Captain Morgan. After freeing the island of Morgan's oppressive rule, Kobe is accepted as a marine, while the other two continue on their journey. That is what the Romance Dawn arc is. So next up is going to be Orange Island, so yay. Alright, so Orange Town starts off with... Okay. Out on sea, Luffy almost loses his hat and reflects on his past, and how a pirate named Shanks influenced him afterwards. Luffy meets Nami and Buggy, the clown's men. In order to save herself and steal a map of the Grand Line, Nami tricks Luffy into allowing her to turn him over to Buggy. Mochi and Richie show up and for revenge after Buggy's humiliating defeat in the previous episode. And Luffy meets a small dog guarding his master's store, even though he knows that he is long dead. Arranging by the actions of Buggy's crew, the city's mayor rushes to fight Buggy himself, but the Straw Hat pirates come to his rescue. Zoro fights Kabachi, despite still being wounded from his previous encounter with Buggy, while Luffy faces the clown pirate himself, and Nami searches for the map of the Grand Line. Buggy links to Shanks. It revealed and relieved, and when he rips the straw hat Shanks gave Luffy, his rage knows no bounds. Who will win in this clash between Devil Fruit users? Okay, so next up is Syrup Village. Here we are, with Nami forming an alliance with the crew as their navigator, not as an actual member. The crew arrives at the Syrup Village in search of a proper ship, where they meet the town liar, Usopp, who has ties to Shanks. When trying to convince his rich friend Kaya to give the Straw Hats a ship, Usopp is told to stay away from her. Her caretaker Klahadore, however, when Usopp and Luffy later see him conversing with a strange man, they learn of a plot to kill Kaya. After learning the Captain Koro's evil plan, Usopp runs back to the village to warn Kaya, only to find that after all his years of lying, no one believes him. Usopp resolves to keep his story of pirates attacking the town alive by making sure none reach it. Luffy, Zoro, Nami, and Usopp then try to keep the Black Cat pirates at bay. The Straw Hats manage to take out most of the opposing Black Cat pirates, and so Django orders the Nyaban brothers to attack. Meanwhile, after getting hypnotized by Django, Luffy gets himself stuck under the collapsed mast of the Black Cat pirates' ship. Captain Kuro himself arrives. He's at the scene, and with Zoro too injured to fight, Luffy being incapacitated, and the other two being too weak to handle him, things seem hopeless. However, Kaya herself appears to barge in with Kuro. Zoro and Buchi of the Nyaban brothers face off once again as Luffy and Kuro begin their fight. Usopp orders the Usopp pirates to run away with Kaya, but Django goes after them. A flashback reveals how Captain Kuro faked his death and Captain Morgan, and how he became Kaya's butler. There. As the fight between Luffy and Kuro was close to an end, the Usopp pirates do their best to avoid Django. Kuro's ultimate attack, Shakushi, attacks everything in the area, whether friend or foe, and Luffy becomes enraged by his lack of regard for his crew. Will Luffy's determination overcome Kuro's sheer speed, with Usopp now in the crew, and a new ship, the Going Merry. Under their command, the Straw Hats head to an island said to hold a fabled treasure, only to encounter a strange man stuck in a treasure box that has also been looking for this treasure. Ooh. Okay, nice. For now on the Baratier arc. While Usopp and Luffy fool around with the ship's cannon, one day Zoro dreams about his childhood and the promise he made with Kuina. The crew meets Johnny and Yasaku, Zoro's former champions, and they set sail for the Baratier, a restaurant, in search of a cook. Sanji, a cook at the Baratier, helps a starving man named Gin. Luffy begins his job as a waiter to pay for the damage he did to the Baratier, and tries to convince Sanji to join his crew. Jin returns to the Baratier with his also starving captain, Don Krieg, to whom Sanji once more gives food, but Don Krieg betrays the cook once he regains his energy. It is revealed that Chef Zeph was a great pirate known as Red Leg Zeph. Gin explains the catastrophe the fleet met in Grand Line when they encountered Hawkeye's Mihawk, and Krieg attempts to take control of the Baratier. As Nami steals the Going Merry, Mihawk has returned to finish the job, but Zoro challenges him to a duel in order to achieve his dream. Mihawk leaves after defeating Zoro, so Krieg continues to his invasion and has Pearl. One of his stronger crewmates attack, and Sanji reveals his fighting skills. Meanwhile, Johnny and Yasaku leave with Usopp and the wounded Zoro to go after Nami. With Zeph held captive by Gin, Sanji has no choice but to take Pearl's hits. And he reflects on why Zeph means so much to him. Gin finishes off Pearl, claiming that he wants to kill Sanji himself. Still wounded, Sanji faces Gin while Luffy attacks Don Krieg. While Gin refuses to kill Sanji, Krieg uses a poison gas on him. Luffy seems to have the advantage in the fight until Krieg pulls out his explosive battle spear. Even after taking several hits from the battle spear, Luffy refuses to give up. After the battle, Gin decides to go back to the Grand Line with Krieg despite still being poisoned, and Sanji makes the difficult decision on whether to stay or to go with Luffy, just as Yasaku comes back with news that he knows where Nami is. Yay! Alright, next up is the Arlong Park arc. The crew chases after Nami, who stole their ship, and Yasaku takes time during the trip to explain about Arlong and his fishmen to Luffy and Sanji. Meanwhile, Usopp, Johnny, and Zoro arrive at the island Nami docked at. Zoro is captured by the fishmen after Usopp and Johnny ditch him, and it's revealed that Nami is part of Arlong's crew the entire time. When a group of fishmen attack Kokowashi village, Usopp comes to the rescue. After Zoro escapes with Nami's help, she tries to prove her loyalty to the Arlong pirates by appearing to kill Usopp. Meanwhile, Luffy's group finally arrives at the island. Johnny tells the others about Nami killing Usopp, and Luffy does not believe them until Nami appears herself and confirms it. She tells them to stay out of her business and leave without her, but Luffy stubbornly decides to stay on the island. The Usopp returns, revealing that Nami only pretended to kill him, and Nami's sister Nojiko starts to explain why Nami is acting the way she is. Nojiko starts her story about Nami's childhood and their adopted mother, Bellamere. Despite being poor and none of them being related by blood, they had a happy life. Nojiko continues her story, explaining how their life was ruined when the Arlong pirates first took over the village. When a marine officer under Arlong's pay confiscates all the money Nami stole over the years in order to one day buy the village from Arlong, the villagers decide that enough is enough and fight back despite Nami's plea that they do not and that they'd all be killed. Usopp, seeing Nami's sorrow and the Straw Hats, head for Arlong Park. The Straw Hats face the fishmen themselves as the villagers watch from the sidelines. Arlong has trapped Luffy in the ocean, and Zoro faces the six-sword-wielding octopus Hachan. And with Hachan defeated, two of the fishmen battle Sanji and Usopp. Things look grim for Sanji as he attempts to face Kurubi underwater, and Usopp gets the chance to prove that he too is a brave warrior. Arlong's officers have been defeated but Sanji and Zoro prove to be no match for Arlong in their current state. However, with Luffy finally free, he just may be able to defeat the most wicked man in the East Blue. Meanwhile, Nami finally gathers the courage to face Arlong. Luffy returns to the fight, and the battle with Arlong versus Luffy begins. The battle spreads into Arlong Park itself, and Arlong is no longer holding back. Arlong's Arlong's reign of terror is over, and no one has anything on their mind except to party. As the crew celebrates, Nami reflects on her hometown and decides to officially join the Straw Hat Pirates. As a result of defeating Buggy, Krieg, and Arlong, Luffy now has the highest bounty in all of East Blue. News quickly spreads to Shanks, who celebrates Luffy's arrival into the world of pirates by partying with Mihawk, despite already being severely hungover. Wow. That's actually kind of cool. Alright, we are going to finally go to like the shortest thing ever. Buggy's Crew Adventure Chronicles, one of the smallest portions of One Piece. After his fight with Luffy, Buggy was sent flying to another island with several body parts missing. Thus, Buggy begins his journey to find his crew and his body parts, making some unlucky friends. With Buggy assumed to be dead, his crew fights over who will be the new captain, only to be captured by a tribe of cannibals? What? Cannibals. Alright, we are finally heading to a long arc, Logue Town. The crew arrives at the last large town before the entrance to the Grand Line, Logue Town, the place where Gold D. Roger was both born and executed, where they stock up on supplies and sightsee as Luffy heads to the execution platform where Roger was killed. Old enemies are searching for him. While searching for the new swords to replace the ones shattered by Mihawk, Zoro meets a woman named Tashigi, who looks exactly like an older Kuina, who then helps him look for his new swords. Usopp manages to anchor the daughter of bounty hunter Daddy the father and finds his own life at stake when he discovers that Usopp is the son of Yasopp, the only man to beat him. He challenges him to a duel. In order to win a rare fish, Sanji enters a cooking contest and faces a woman named Carmen. Luffy arrives at the execution platform only to be caught in a trap by Buggy and Alvida, miraculously saved from death by an unnatural green gust of a lightning bolt to Buggy. The Straw Hats rush out of Logue Town, only for Zoro to be stopped by Tashigi, and Luffy to be stopped by Captain Smoker. Smoker. Your guy. That's all I know. Yay! We're finally heading out to a filler arc soon. Alright, we are finally at the filler arc number 1. Warship Island. On a stormy night, a girl called Apis escapes from the Marines and arrives at the Straw Hats' ship, but the girl, upon knowing that they are pirates, begins to hide some of the reasons to which she is being wanted by the Marines. As the Straw Hats escape from the Marines, they get caught in the Calm Belt. The Calm Belt is revealed to have no winds or currents, as well as being the home of many giant sea kings. Apis forms a plan with Luffy's help and escapes the Sea Kings by riding with one's sneeze. Later, the crew reaches Warship Island, where they listen to the soporific story of the island's creation. After following Apis into a cave where a dragon is hidden, Luffy and Nami find the reason why Apis is being chased. Now that the crew is informed about the reasons for which Apis is followed, they hurry to escape the island so Ryuji could be saved. But they meet with a foe that wants Ryuji to himself. Zoro and Usopp bring the ship to a thin rock at the side, while Nami and Apis get Ryuji onto a cart. Luffy and Sanji fight the Marines to buy time for all preparations. In the end, the ship pulls the cart away on the search for Lost Island. After arriving to what might seem as the Lost Island that the Straw Hats were looking for, they find an old temple with paintings that might indicate where the Lost Island really is. And so Eric, who has been following them throughout the sea, Zoro is left fighting with Eric while Luffy and the gang run to the ship in order to get to Lost Island, but only find more problems. At last, Admiral Nelson has seen through the ambitions of Eric, but takes it a little too personally. And now the mystical dragon's life is in danger. With his last breath, Ryuji calls all his fellow dragons, and the Lost Island resurfaced. Meanwhile, Luffy takes out Admiral Nelson and his gang. After leaving Worship Island, the Going Merry is now towards the Grand Line, and the crew now returns to the great adventure. Yeah, that's cool, right? Alright, thank you guys for watching, and if you guys want to watch more videos like this, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Well, thank you, and the Fluffy the Yellow Fox out.